Welcome, everybody. A warm welcome in this chilly winter at 11 a.m. Here. Before we proceed, we have a speaker with us, Shivalika Chadda Malik. She is the Senior Manager Communications at PepsiCo India. I would just like to address a few of her credentials before we start, and she takes the platform here. She has been handling a lot of communication aspects for PepsiCo India Limited. She has also been recently awarded as one of the generation leaders in the communication industry under 40 summit. She comes with a varied experience and a vast experience of 15 years with her in communication industry, and she has been executing result oriented communication strategies for brands like Amazon India, Vistara, ITA, Reckitt Benexa, Sony India, etc. This session is going to be very relevant for all of us students who are from marketing background, mass communication background. We will be touch basing about various aspects of communication, the real scenarios, the real time campaigns done, the various social media handles, the demographics involved, and so on and so forth. So, without a further ado, I would really request our guest, Shivalika Malik, to take the stage and take it forward. Hi, Shivalika.
Hi, Shivani. Glad to be here.
We are so honored and thrilled that you are here with us. And thank you so much for taking out this time for your really, really busy schedule. You're working with one of the top brands with cutthroat competition. So we really understand how important the timings are for you. So thank you so much. We have with us the students from marketing who are doing marketing specialization from MBA, and
Mhm.
mass communication students who are a part of a mass comm and journalism college. We have our respected deans, Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, as well here in the session, and various academicians also. So welcome once again.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. A great opportunity by the university and Ankur Malhotra, Trinity, to be able to, give me this platform to be able to talk to you guys. So I think it's always good and great, in fact, interacting with the students. Uh, and I'm super happy to be here today.
And happy we are. So, Shivalika, without further ado, let's start this session. So, first of all, we would really like to know how this journey of corporate communication started from as young as being an intern to actually getting to a permanent deployment, and then how you leverage this opportunity.
Sure. The journey to communications or in communications actually started way back in 2005. It was very different from what it is today. What I understand today that, you as students actually pick up a certain stream in the last or the second last of the year, and you know that you want to do PR, you want to do journalism, you want to do, production, whatever. At that time, the PR industry was at a very nascent stage, bud budding, and I think where I studied in YMCA, and we had to actually do mass communications as a course, as a stream for the entire period of time. We didn't specialize in a particular stream by the end of the course. So internships therefore played a very, very big role because they actually gave us an opportunity to decide what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go. Is that particular stream interesting enough for us to pursue or not? And I think so so my internship per se actually started way back where I was studying, and I took up a 3-month internship with a production house called BAG Films. And it was one of the most fulfilling internships that I had. We were out shooting, we were behind the camera, we used to like get up 4 a.m. in the morning, work till 3 a.m. the next day, then get up, etc. And what we were doing at that point in time was we were doing this documentary on Jago Grahak Jago. So it was all about consumer awareness and their rights and what they need to do if they were duped or. So the whole point at that point in time made me realize that I wanted to reach out to the external world. I wanted to advocate a cause. I wanted to create creative campaigns. However, once I finished that, I realized that maybe I don't need to do that being behind the camera. I could be behind the scenes, but do something different. So once that got over, I explored not production, but I explored public relations. And while I researched more, the more I talked to people in the industry, I found that that was something that was my calling. So in that sense, I started off with an agency called The Practice, and it was a tech firm. It was headquartered out of Bangalore, and we had a small little office in Hoskas in Delhi. I started off there. We were just three people, completely a startup, and I serviced accounts like MSN, Infosys, etc. And again, what really worked for me was that being in a startup, you're just a very few people. You have to do everything, as opposed to a bigger agency. So the opportunities to do more, the opportunities to explore more, and you may be doing, from literally pasting clips to, staffing media interactions. But the point is, the window of opportunities is quite large. So I started off there, and after 2.5 years, I wanted to explore more. And I said, technology is done, let's do more. And I went, and I was fortunate enough to get a job in Avian Media. Again, there were some 8-9 people. It was in startup mode, and I think that place gave me a lot of opportunity in terms of the verticals that I could handle. So literally from defense to travel, from finance to consumer, uh, you know anything and everything, from sports. I could dabble with a lot of verticals, a lot of clients there, and I was there for a good 12 plus years. So again, I saw the agency grow from literally 8 people to 100 plus people across offices in India. So again, the opportunity was there. After that, I thought, now let's take all these learnings and take a plunge into the other side, into the corporate side of communications. And that's when PepsiCo happened to me. And again, that place gave me an opportunity, not from a vertical standpoint, but how from one vertical you can actually deep dive into doing so much, from consumer communications to crisis communications, to I think to the fact that we could look at internal communications to the corporate side of it. So again, the whole point was that exploring more and more, looking at the right opportunities is actually is my journey in the communications bit. And I think my learnings, so as to say, are, to top three learnings are: one, that you need to be passionate and you need to continue to learn. And if you are, if you want to learn, if you continue to learn as much as you want to, there's never a dearth. So do that, keep exploring. Secondly, the fact that the day you're comfortable, it's over for you. I think it's very, very important that you keep the fire burning. You ensure that, you don't feel comfortable in what you do. You always want more. And the last thing is that you have to be patient. And I think my journey in terms of at the practice of Avian Media was all about patience. Thankfully, we don't have to do that, and you will not have to do that when you go out the outer world. But we literally had to cut paper clips, paste it, and a half day used to just go in that. I think it was 2 years before I actually handled a full press conference, completely led it on my own. Things have changed, of course. You don't take that much time, but the fact is that you need to have patience. And if you have patience, you will definitely make it. If you want everything in one go, that doesn't happen. So these were some of the key learnings for me, basis my journey in communications.
Wonderful. So I think for all students, please make a note of the three major learnings, and I think you should imbibe them in yourself as well. Never get comfortable. Passion, I think passionate is the key for any domain that you pick and choose. And third is patience. I think the generation Z is really lacking patience. So I think it's very important that we millennials keep reiterating that yes, patience is something that you have to imbibe in yourself to reach and take up that ladder. You can't skip any step and just jump up right there. So thank you so much, Shivalika, for these three important learnings, and I'm sure our students will really learn from them too. Now, while talking about PepsiCo and the transition from Avian Media, um, You talked about crisis communication, which is very interesting. How do you do crisis management? And just let us know what all is involved, how we go about it.
Okay, so crisis communication is actually the second name for public relations or communications. I mean, when you're working out there, the environment is so volatile that you're literally breathing crisis every day, right? And I mean, it could be a crisis as simple as a consumer saying, you know what, the product that I bought was not up to mark, or the fact that you have the flight being grounded, or an accident that's happened, which is fatal, unfortunately. So crisis could be of any type, and it can hit you anytime, and I think you have to be very well prepared for that. I think one of the key things that is really important when you are in a crisis is to be nimble and agile. Flexibility. It's a 24/7 job, I'm not meaning to scare you, but the point is that you have to be alert. You have to be on your toes all the time. And the second thing is that you need to deep dive into knowledge. You need to know your industry, your client, the external environment really well, because you are the ones who are the custodians out there who are trying and consulting the client to say what they need to do, what they have to say, how they have to say it, what tools you have to use. So again, it is all about the fact that how well you know about the external factors, how well you know about the industry per se. So again, knowledge is the second piece, which is really, really important in crisis. uh, Third, and I think the most important thing, is all about transparency and being honest. uh, and you may have seen it. I mean, if there are brands who've goofed up and there's a crisis have happened, going out there, accepting your mistake and being honest about it really helps them. I mean, the fact that if you're honest and transparent about what's happened, you will see there's an empathetic world outside, and they're ready to forgive you because you're being more humane in terms of the brand and ensuring that you're accepting your mistakes. Having said that, it's also very important to understand what to say and when to say how. Sometimes less is more, and in a crisis, that's the mantra: less is more. You need to ensure that you watch every step of the way you want to showcase yourself, reflect yourself, communicate, and I think that's very key in a crisis situation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Valika, for giving us this bit. I think a very important less is more. I think owing up your XYZ goof up, or the things that had happened towards, be it with the client or be it with a different stakeholder. So owing up and keep it simple is something that our future communication geeks should take a note of. All right, wonderful. Okay, so like I mentioned, we have students from marketing and who are studying mass communications. We have students from digital marketing sphere as well. So I wanted to know, how is corporate communication different with different aspects of marketing, yet they are interlinked?
That's a very good question, because fundamentally marketing and communications are different streams. But having said that, when they come together, they complement each other, and like how. It is a very strong conversation that one can have if marketing and communications are aligned as functions, and it can create a lot of magic. uh, Essentially, first we need to understand that how is marketing different from communication. So what is marketing? Marketing is essentially where customer becomes king. It is all about the fact that how you're going to penetrate markets, how you're going to penetrate and promote your product or service to the end consumer based on economic trends. While communication is all about developing a story, communication is about being a storyteller, and talking about what that product or service can actually do to you or to your life, and therefore also enhancing the image or the reputation of that particular product or service and the brand as a whole. So again, while they're different, I'll just ask you a question, and you let me know whether you'll pick up a product in a certain case scenario. So if you feel that there's a great product out there in the market, you want to pick it up. it's superior quality, but you also know that the reputation of the company isn't great. They mistreat their employees. They follow unethical practices. They're charging you higher than what the product is all about, and they're duping the customer. Would you actually buy that product?
Well, I would throw this question to our students. Students, please use the chat box and let us know your thoughts about it quickly. So a great product, whereas the reputation of being employee friendly or using ethical way of producing a particular product or service is not there. What would be your reaction to purchasing that product? Would you be purchasing that product because it's very good, it's very well valued or priced at? You may use your chat box, everybody. Quick, quick, quick. We need some answers, guys.
Shivani, why don't you tell me? Will you?
Um, I don't think so. But Shvalika, I have a different philosophy here. I also think it really depends on a kind of a person, a kind of DNA you have. Are you really a person who's actually, thinking about, or you are somebody who just wants to buy the product and get over with it? If your approach is towards about the holistic approach, then yes, it will affect me and I would not go ahead with it. But if I'm an individual who doesn't get perturbed or doesn't get affected by any of these things that are happening, then I might as well go about it. So I'm just giving you two scenarios of different kind of people that we have.
No, absolutely. So I understand where you're coming from.
Shivalika, I have Prateek Sachdeva who just raised his hand, so I'll just
Sure.
unmute him and let's see what he has to say.
No, ma'am, I just wanted to say that the chat option has been disabled, so I was not able to write my answer.
Oh, Asha. All right. That's the reason why you were not able to. Okay. So now that I've unmuted you, you want to say something? We have Ankita Sharma. Okay. Ankita Sharma, you may have your question, your answer perhaps.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, honestly, I'm a very practical person. If I like a product, for example, it's Maggie. And if I come to, yeah, the same happened with Kylie Cosmetics actually.
Hmm.
There was a report that told that the workers are not paid enough and the conditions are also not very healthy. But I like Kylie. I like the whole brand, so I will buy it anyhow. I'm a practical person. I will go with the product, not with a lot of emotions. When I'm like that, so. Yes.
Great, Ankita. That's good to hear. Practicality wins here. So I think what we actually found that out was that there was a recent survey that was done. While many of us actually will buy a product because we've used them, but what my question was more in terms of, will you buy a certain product or explore a certain product that you've never used? You do not know. You just heard that it's superior quality, and the reputation of the company isn't great. Now, that is something, when we did a survey, we actually found out that 70% of people will not do that, will not buy a product because they are not sure about the brand itself being, ethical. On the other hand, the same thing, if the reputation of the company is great, but the quality of the product is, inferior, again, people will not buy. So this actually comes through in terms of the fact that how marketing of a product and services and image of the company kind of are intervened together to to basically get let consumers make informed decisions in that sense. So again, from a marketing and a communications perspective, what we've also understood that the three basic things that can be tapped where communications and marketing work hand in hand. uh, I'll give you an example. Let's say moments, right? So every day there are fixed moments in today's days in life. You've got a Father's Day, you've got a Teacher's Day, you've got all of Valentine's Day, etc. Now, as marketers, and especially from a consumer marketing perspective, brands tend to take advantage and create a lot of buzz and visibility around these moments. I'll give you an example of what Pepsi actually did. It was Teacher's Day, and as a teacher, uh, we have a certain perception about teachers, very disciplined, very docile. The fact that, they have a certain way, they'll have a certain, way of decorum to themselves. Having said that, what Pepsi actually did, Pepsi's core, proposition is swag. And that means, you have an attitude in life, right? It's the confidence and the irreverence that Pepsi actually celebrates. And they did a post on Instagram which just basically spoke about that. It was a salute to teachers, and it says, she does not say be quiet, she just mutes all. So it brought out the cheekiness actually that the teacher has, the attitude and the swag that the teacher has, right? And I think that is something what marketing did. And I'll give you an example of how communications ensured that it were amplified and worked hand in hand. Communications and developed a story around it. Communicate, as a function, we reached out to a lot of stakeholders, a lot of journalists. We created a story about the fact that teachers today have swag. It's not the old way. And especially, we actually looked at the external factor, which was all about the fact that, there's virtual learning happening. Teachers are putting so much heart and soul. But while brands were talking about, you know, the hard work that they put, we've also mentioned that there is that swag in, in teachers, which one needs to celebrate. You can't take them for a ride, and I think that is the story that communications portrayed out. And that's the story which was told basis that post. So again, marketing and communications worked hand in hand. The other thing is trends. And it's very, very recent. Yesterday, we all know that, Google had a shutdown. And again, Pepsi, in a very irreverent way, they put out a post while there were brands, a lot of brands on the digital world talking about the fact that how, Google shut down. And, in all due respect, we're talking about the outage itself. When Google actually started coming back, Pepsi did a post simply to say, shutdowns are temporary, your swag is permanent. Welcome back. Again, just think about the brand tone here and the communication piece here. So marketing did this, and what communication did is amplify it again to tell a story of how brands can be positive, brands can be united, and brands can, work with each other to ensure that in today's day and age, if you're united, you're out there. And there was a positive, communication going out from one brand to another. So again, that's from a trends perspective. And the last thing is about campaigns per se. So again, marketers are all about creating campaigns that ensure consumer connects. And here, again, I will give you an example of Due. So Due did a very recent campaign on Independence Day. It was all about, just ensuring that we celebrate the resilience of the company, of the people, especially in a lockdown situation. So what did they do? They actually worked and they created an anthem based on Ye Desh Hai Veer Jawano Ka. They did a rendition of that, and it was all out there. Now you've got a great piece of work out there, and how you're going to amplify. Now that's where communication comes in. And what we did was we actually ensured that, one, we developed a story around it. We developed a story about how India needed that moment to remember the resilience, given the fact that we were going under a lockdown, and how people were, and therefore we had to salute that, that bravery, that spirit of resilience, and the spirit of, of the people of India who are overcoming the fear. And, that's the story we went out and told, basis the anthem. Again, a perfect example of how communications and marketing work together. So this is how they're intertwined, and this is how they create magic.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for these examples to make the understanding better. And I think as a person in mass communications, you really have to be very closely connected to all the marketing activities that are happening. And like I say, I love when you say that the communications team is the one who amplify, who ensures that the magic is created and it's reaching in volumes way beyond. So storyteller is amazing. I think all our students should take a note of it, because it's just not about an ad. It's about how you're communicating it and hitting it right there. So thank you so much. Wonderful examples, Shivalika. Now, when we talk about this good amalgamation of mass communications or the corporate communications and the marketing, we also have a demography playing a role. India is a vast country, and every demography has a different way of approaching towards different things, be it because of religion, be it
Hmm.
because of culture. So we have a lot of areas which play a major role for any product or service we consume. So how do you tackle a demographic variation that is there in one country, and we're just talking about one product or one service but different audiences?
Sure. Again, demographics play a huge role. I mean, the fact is, and this is again an opportunity where we work very closely with marketing teams and the brand teams, because they do the groundwork. They reach out to understand the consumer sentiment whenever they're trying to put out a new product or a new service, etc. They tend to do the market study, be on ground to understand what the consumers want and what they, what they'd like. uh, Having said that, it is also equally very important for the communications function, because that's how you devise your plan. You really need to understand your customer disposition. You need to understand where they consume content, how they consume content, which are the platforms they're using. So for example, somebody who's a 16 to a 20-year-old would be using very different platforms as opposed to somebody who's above a 40. uh, Again, somebody who's going to be talking about, I'm just trying to say that somebody who's about talking about, for example, I'm just giving that example because I have a lot of millennials here, are basically exploring Tinder and Bumble, etc. And you don't have a 50-year-old or a 35-year-old actually doing it, who's more glued on to the GECs of the world and the serials of the world, etc. So again, you have to understand where your end consumer is actually consuming content on. I mean, imagine a brand where, who actually talks about Baisakhi in Chennai. Or, if I come to Punjab and I say, instead of saying Sat Sri Akal, I basically say Vanakam. It's not going to work because, they don't relate to that. So I think demographics also ensure a lot of relatability in terms of reaching out to your consumer and understanding that. So again, it plays a huge role in terms of devising the communication strategy. It also ensures that how we can actually influence in the consumer to make informed decisions, how we can ensure that the consumers purchasing patterns or behaviors kind of change. I think it also ensures that how we are positively influencing the the consumer at the end of that, and therefore the demographics of the insights play a big role. I'll give you an example again of Pepsi. On Valentine's Day, actually they did a consumer campaign which was all about celebrating the singletons, right? And it was just not about a thought that, oh, let's do one thing, it's Valentine's Day, we need to do something different, so while the world is celebrating couples, let's celebrate singletons. That is not how it happens. That's where demographics play a role, therefore insights play a role. We actually did a survey across India to find out that 7 out of 10 men are single today. And that's where the idea germinated, because we knew that if we could do that, and we could do that with Salman Khan, who's actually, the most eligible bachelor in that sense, we could actually get people to relate to it. And that was more up north, right? Again, if we are using if you're using a certain campaign to be out there in South, we will ensure a leading influencer from South, because we'll understand the demographics that work in South as opposed to North. So again, just reiterating that they play a very important role in terms of communication. It's not about what marketing gives you and you have to amplify. It's about the fact that why is a certain thing happening, and numbers and insights are important for that.
All right, wonderful. And I'm sure with that different devising of demographic wise fetch you different kind of results, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Okay, great. So I have another question for you, Shivalika. Um, do you believe that the communications? Okay, so what are the top three trends that you would suggest that we are witnessing in communication industry?
So right now, the top three trends that we foresee in the communication industry, the first one is purpose-driven communications. It's all about cause. It's all about purpose. A brand actually needs to lead by purpose. Uh, you know, we are in a situation where hope, trust, being empathetic is really key. That's what consumers are looking at when they're looking at brands. They want them to be empathetic, they want them to be humane, and therefore purpose-led communications is just not about taking my product out in the market and say, hey, it's the best, let's, you should just buy it. It's about the fact that what the brand stands for. And that's what we're increasingly seeing, that consumers are relating to that much more while making their decisions, rather than just what the product is all about. I think between profitability and between an empathetic brand, there has to be an equal balance, and that's the biggest trend that we're seeing. The second trend that we're seeing is digital acceleration. I think post the lockdown, a lot of us, our parents, our grandparents, etc., even them who actually, I'll just give you an example of who actually saw by the newspaper, the physical copy of the newspaper. They're actually going out and they're on WhatsApp. They're consuming news there. They're going on news sites and consuming news there. As for you millennials, I'm sure so many new age digital portals like Scoop Whoop and Better India and all of that you're consuming content on, and not just from a news perspective but overall. So again, from a communication standpoint, digital is going to be key. One is that, and secondly also because a lot of this young generation is also looking at influencers today to make their informed decisions about purchasing, and therefore again communications really need to play a role in terms from digital acceleration standpoint. And last and not the least, the other trend is all about being creative, but being creative in the fact that you showcase hope, you can showcase and reflect trust in the brand, and at the same time fun. So all of us are actually quite, 2020 has been quite an unprecedented year, and I think a lot of us are actually now almost saturated by looking at so much of serious news. It's important, but having said that, we want brands to bring in that fun element, that quirkiness into our lives, and I think that coupled with hope, trust, and fun, and how creative you are is going to be what's going to trend now in communications.
I love the trio: trust, fun, hope, and that's the mantra, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So,
That's what we believe in at PepsiCo.
you're giving us so many bits. Oh my gosh. So, kids, trust, fun, and hope. Okay, we have Pratik Sachdeva raising hand. If you could just take that, Shivalika, let's hear
Sure.
what he has to say. Yes, Pratik.
Yes, ma'am. I had a question about how do you study trends? Like trends could go very easily. So how do you track them and how do you know if that trend would work or not?
So again, a very good question, Pratik, because this is something which is a hit and a miss. You have to take risk always. So there may be certain trends that you foresee, and they may not actually be as long lasting as you want them to be or you believe them to be. Again, it also depends on, from a trends perspective. I'll just go back to the demographic question, because all depends on what your consumer wants, what's happening around you. So being very, very aware of your external factors is what determines the next trend. Right now, uh, again, what we're foreseeing, why we're foreseeing purpose-led communications is because we've actually seen the success of those purpose-driven campaigns, right? Dettol talking about hand wash, Lifebuoy talking about the whole sanitization piece. Now that actually had a more success rate than some other brand who's just talking about, here's my product, buy it. And I think that's what's making us ensure that this is something that will go on. The other thing, like I mentioned, is the consumer sentiment survey. That is very, very important. I mean, just thinking that this is going to happen is not going to happen, because we reach out, we talk to the market, we reach out to the consumers, we understand, we do surveys, and basis all of that, we crack those trends as well. And the last, not the least, we also have our own gurus. It's also about just understanding globally as well as what's happening in India with the communication industry, picking up that knowledge and then foreseeing what's going to happen. It really helps us.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Prateek. Shivalika, like you had mentioned, that surveys are very vital to draw any, data point specific approach for
Hmm.
any campaign or marketing activity. Do you have any sites or anything that is freely available to gather these surveys? If you could just give us three, four that the students could probably use in their projects, maybe, or have a more survey oriented feedback for anything that they eventually plan to do.
So again, you will see, again, reports are a very good source. So again, from a survey perspective, you really want to understand the consumer sentiment, also what the industry trends are looking like. Best is to ensure, the big four reports. They're very reliable. But having said that, I would just go back on what I've been taught, what I practice, and I think I've also seen people practice around me, is do your own bit, because these things keep changing. Uh, I mean, as simple as when you're picking up a project, do a survey monkey, right? Just go out and talk to the TG. I remember way back at Avian, we were pitching for a certain client, and we actually went out to departmental stores, and we actually did a survey in terms of what they thought about a certain product or a certain packaging, because it was something around that, which I can't talk about. But the point is that you have to understand what's going on ground. So from a survey perspective, look at the big fours, but do your own research, talk to people. Nothing is better than talking to people and doing those polls. And today you've got so many platforms. You can simply go on Instagram, put a poll out there. You can actually do it on Facebook. And especially if you're working with a TG which is younger, having said that, go on ground. That's very important.
Okay, wonderful. So all of you all, I think SurveyMonkey is something that I also use myself. I think it's a very handy and amazing. It just helps you get the analysis quick and fast, and you can have your tweet questions. And I think it's a very wonderful. Okay, we have Shivam Bajaj has a question for you, Shivalika. Can we take this?
Please.
Okay. Yes, Shivam.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Shivam, you are.
Good morning, Shivani ma'am. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, and good morning, Shivalika ma'am.
Hi, good
Ma'am,
morning.
I am studying mass communication, journalism, and mass communication in my final year. But my question is, we were talking about trends, right? So these days, climate change is again trending, and uh, organizations like Break Free from Plastic and other plastic organizations keep bringing their reports that these are the top plastic producers of the world. And so, how do corporate communications uh, help companies like PepsiCo to deal with these problems?
Ve- Again, a very pertinent question today's time. Yes, your environment is key today, and I think at PepsiCo we're doing a lot to be able to support that. Our core philosophy is winning with purpose, and that basically means that the ecosystem that we operate in, it matters to us. Again, communications plays a big role, because communication is not a function that works in silos. Please understand, it's known as the supporting function. It has an edge, you know and has a seat on that table. Having said that, it works with different functions like marketing, sustainability, PPJ, which is public policy, etc. So again, how you work with sustainability teams to ensure that just you can make a difference, how you can create communications for internal employees and engage them through to do community services, and how as a corporate you're being positioned as a responsible corporate by doing the right thing. So I mean, just give you an example. PepsiCo works, majorly in ensuring from a water perspective. It's working, again, a lot in terms of the whole EPR responsibilities of plastic upcycling. In fact, I'll give you a very interesting example of what we did. Again, communications from this perspective. Uh, on 2nd October, uh, in 2019, we had the Plug Run, which was basically working with a lot of schools, a lot of colleges, partnerships, with United Way, etc., to do a run and pick up plastic. Now, in 2020, an on-ground event wasn't possible because we were all under a lockdown. The external environment wasn't right. So what did Comms do at PepsiCo was they actually created a virtual program called Why Waste. It was all about reaching out to consumers. It was reaching out to stakeholders. It was reaching out to employees, and basically doing an awareness program of how plastic itself can be upcycled. We partnered with United Way. We run a full 2 weeks program where we had, a great jury, and we invited entries in form of DIY videos, in terms of posters, in terms of, whatever creative way you could, and talk about how you would upcycle plastic. We also ensured we work with RWAs, and we had these big bins where plastic was collected, and we ensured that, people, rather than just throwing, plastic bottles, etc., they could actually throw it in those bins, which we would recollect and upcycle and recycle. So again, from that perspective, it depends on what a corporate would like to do. There's a lot, like I said, PepsiCo is doing, but then again, from consumer awareness to doing things on ground, communications can help ensuring that how you can engage employees, stakeholders, policymakers, create advocacy, coming together as an industry to ensure that you work around the environment. So yeah, you could do much.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. मैम एक और छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है. मैम अभी हमने ट्रेंड्स के बारे में बात, मैंने लिखा हुआ है, जस्ट I was writing down बीच में.
That's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. Okay. So मैम ट्रेंड्स के बारे में एक और क्वेश्चन है कि कोविड के टाइम्स में देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ नीड फॉर इम्यूनिटी ड्रिंक्स एंड मतलब सोडास की जरूरत इतनी नहीं है, स्पेशली जब कोविड के पीरियड की बात आई. तो मैम आपको लगता है कि पेप्सिको शुड वेंचर मोर इनटू मेकिंग इम्यूनिटी बूस्टर ड्रिंक्स, लाइक फॉरेन में इट डिड, बट इंडिया में डू यू थिंक दैट अभी नीड है और ये अभी करना चाहिए था इस टर्म्स में, क्योंकि अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है एक अलग मार्केट क्रिएट करने के लिए?
Right. I think that's a question that we are asked a lot many times, and I think the right spokesperson should be answering. But just to answer your question, only internally, is the fact that PepsiCo believes in ensuring a product that is available at all times, that is available for all moments, and we have a certain range of product portfolio. So we won't say that we also have a good for you portfolio, which is all about Tropicana. That's a juice. That's all about vitamin C. It's all about being healthy. We have Quaker oats, which is hitting the roof in this in this period, given the fact that people want to try our recipes, want to eat healthy. But having said that, we also have fun for you products, which is you have the Pepsi and the Dew and the Lay's, etc. And hand on your heart, you tell me this, that during this time, when you've celebrated together, when you've had moments of you being with friends and family, etc., how many of you have actually not picked up the sodas and the chips and all of that? So I think it's all about a brand to be responsible, but also ensuring that you have everything available for each kind of demand that a consumer has. Again, there are a lot of people out there who actually want to ensure their fun moments become more memorable, and they can have Lay's and Kurkure and sodas and Pepsi and Dew. And there are people who are healthy, and for those we have Quaker and Tropicana, etc. So, or the Diet Pepsi, which is actually zero sugar. So the point is, to each to his own, but we are there, and whatever you need, we are happy to offer you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks
Okay,
a lot.
great. So we are really getting questions. I think Ankita has been wanting to speak to you for a very long time, Shivalika. I'll just ask her to take the question. Yes, Ankita, please.
Hello, ma'am. It was a lovely session. It's a lovely session. I mean, I'm really inspired by you because I too have been thinking about the same thing. I'm really passionate about brands and how do they create such lovely stories. Like, for example, Coca-Cola creates the story of happiness around its brand. Pepsi creates the story of swag around its brand. So, ma'am, what kind of people actually do this? Are these people marketers? Are these people corporate communicators like you? Who are these?
So Ankita, it's teamwork, honestly. And I think a lot of people work behind this. in terms of ensuring a brand tone for a particular brand to brand messaging, while the creative team actually brings out the creativity in terms of how you're going to put that message, the brand team and the category heads kind of put together as to what is the proposition that's going to be really working for the consumers. It's also about the products, the product team and the R&D team ensure that the product is kind of, it's evolved every time, and the communications teams ensure that they're compelling messages to drive from there. So there's no one particular person, to be very honest. Everybody is hands-on and everybody has a role to play, and that's why what you see from a swag perspective, or you see from Dar Ke Aage Jeet Hai, is all about team effort and the philosophy that we live in. So if you want to get into communications, believe you me, one has to be a team player. One has to work with a lot of different stakeholders, and it's all about understanding and basically getting the synergies in place and then taking it on.
I hope that answers your question, Ankita. Oh gosh, we have Ajay. Great. All right, Ajay, fire away your question. Great.
Oh, okay. Hi, good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Hi.
Now, firstly, I'm an officer in the army, and I'm doing this course for the study leave that have been sanctioned by the government. I must say, firstly, it's very flattering to be considered amongst all the millennials. That's one thing which I was feeling quite gratified about. But it's nice to be amongst a young crowd, and it's nice to get to hear speakers like you talking about your areas of specialization. I would like to add one thing regarding that Pepsi bit a while ago, which Shivam had asked. I would just like to add to your point only, ma'am. We used to spend long times
Your voice is breaking.
in
Sorry.
these isolated areas, and for months the only thing that used to keep us going would be a bag of chips or a soft drink, because unfortunately those being rural and the remote and the isolated areas, we could not possibly get our hands on it. So during this lockdown, I think everyone's got a taste of the kind of life which we have lived, and everything used to revolve around that one bag of chips or that one bottle of Pepsi, which we would get to see when we would get down off that awful mountain, and after 3-4 months of a long separation from all this stuff. And these things actually not just the addictive value, but the entertainment and the community value of them is quite immense. That's something I felt I should put into the conversation.
Colonel Ajay.
And all, of course, great wishes to you all.
Customer Shivalika for you. The gratitude for giving those happy moments. When you just realize, life is just happy with a nice Coke and a chips packet. So thank you.
Coke, Pepsi. So, Atal, I think it was very heartwarming to hear from you. First of all, salute. Because of people like you, I think we are sitting here safe and happy and feeling secure. So thank you very much. To answer your question about millennials, believe you me, as long as you're young at heart, you're a millennial. So age is just a number. I personally believe in that. So, and I'm sure you're as young at heart as you look. And the fact is that really happy to hear that from you, because it just strengthens the belief that what we're doing is actually right. So thank you.
Thank you, Shivalika. That is so very thoughtful of you, and thank you so much for that really thoughtful words. And I'm being a Fauji's daughter myself, I think it's really heart melting, and when we get to hear such things about this fraternity, the defense fraternity. Thank you so much. Okay, so while we were talking a lot about the collaboration and the synergies required amongst the stakeholders within the company, because it's very crucial. You cannot, as a CorpCom, you cannot work in seclusion. You really have to collaborate and understand the whole thought behind it and then move along as a team. How essential as a CorpCom it is to ensure that the synergies are there and the sort of the in-house learnings and trainings are imparted to various stakeholders. What is your role? How do you do that?
So I think absolutely learning, training, ensuring that you enhance your skill set is very, very important. Why in communications? I think it's across the board. It's very, very important to work with a company or a brand that is invested in your development. And I think communications is no different. It definitely, see communications, because we communicate every day, right? So sometimes we just forget the importance of it. But it is a skill. It is something that needs to be refined. It is something that needs to be developed. In-house learning is very important for a couple of things because it increases self-awareness. You get to know what you're good at, what you're not good at, what are your development areas, how can you ensure you can be a better evolved professional. So therefore, it's very important. Secondly, it's also important because it improves your skills. Now, in-house training or basically training is very important because see, I may be very good at communicating or marketing a certain brand. I may be very good at media relations, right? And ensuring that I'll get you the bylines, I will get you stories and the interviews and all of that. But I may not be great at content, right? And again, in today's day and age, or I may not be good at even digital communications. But in today's day and age, to be a well-rounded professional, you have to be a specialist, but first you have to be a generalist. You need to know everything. You need to understand all the aspects on the facets of communication. And I think that's where training helps. So you pick up, for example, if you're great in media relations, you may pick up a different facet and you say, you know what, I want to do digital communications and understand what really happens there. I want to understand content and I want to be good at writing because believe you me, all of them work together unless and until you have that. And you may be very good at one thing and you may be mediocre in another, but the whole point is ensuring refinement, development, and that's when you become a well-rounded professional. And I think the last thing is also it teaches you how to deal with crisis, right? So there's a very different way you deal with crisis. There is a certain process that you follow. So again, crisis communication as a training is kept separate because it teaches you how you're going to talk, what you're going to talk, what platforms to use, what is the process. Because in crisis, you're not alone. You're not the sole person who's taking decisions. You're working with a larger team and, a very tight-knit team in that sense. And you're responsible. Your responsibility kind of increases X number of times than what it was before. So again, all of these things help you, only if you're trained well, if the company is invested in you and you get the right guidance at the right time, and therefore you evolve.
Okay, wonderful. I'm sure you're giving those wonderful sessions to your entire team. We would love to have one here as well.
After when it opens up, I'd like to come and visit you guys.
Hopefully, when we have everything resumed to normal, we would love to have you. But having said that, I have a question which we would really want you to be honestly telling us about. Which has been the proudest campaign as per you that you think you've outcome with? I mean, you brought it out.
Tough one. I think each project that one works is one's baby, and you can't kind of differentiate. But I'll try and answer that question. And I can't say the proudest one campaign, but I think if I were to think about it, there'll be two campaigns that really made a difference, purpose-led campaigns that we did. And one was with Avion when I was actually servicing the client Vistara, the airline. And we were kind of brainstorming and said what we want to do. And I think the whole brainchild of, I don't know if a lot of you have heard about this or not, but there was this campaign called Pads on Board by Vistara. This was the first time ever that an Indian airline actually provides pads, sanitary napkins to people in need on board. Generally, you see sanitary napkins are there placed in the lavatory during international flights, but not here. And I think that was one campaign that we were really gung-ho about. And the fact that we went out, we redid our entire research, we figured out that how, from a mensuration perspective and stress level perspective, what were consumers thinking? What were the experiences, while they were in sticky situations, like if they were on board or traveling. We also ensured, as communications consulted, that this actually should be done at the right time, which was International Women's Day. And we spoke with Vistara, and thankfully they were very, very appreciative and supportive of the entire idea. And we worked with the marketing team there. So I was at the agency and we worked with the marketing team there. We presented it to the CEO, etc. And what we had was that we ensured that people can today, and that communication idea is not a campaign idea today. What really is close to me is that that's become a business idea, business without profit, in the sense that anytime any of you, boards of Vistara, you will be able to get a sanitary napkin if you so need. So again, this is something that's become permanent. So I was very, very proud of what this campaign was all about, and the team who worked on it. The other campaign I'm very, very proud of and is very close to my heart is the Pepsi Save Our Restaurants campaign. This was a campaign that we did recently during the lockdown. Again, the whole idea was not just about ensuring how we're going to, how we are going to sell more Pepsis. It was a campaign from the heart. It was a campaign where we actually, so Pepsi actually has a lot of AFH partners. When we say AFH, away from home partners like KFC, Burger King, etc. Now, the thing is that we actually saw that restaurants were kind of getting very impacted. The hospitality business was impacted, I think, the most because people were not going out at all. And people were initially even afraid of getting food delivered, in the initial part of the lockdown. So and there were a lot of especially migrant workers who actually work in the hospitality sector, who lost their jobs, who were going back home, and they were marginalized restaurant workers. So Pepsi actually did this campaign where we went out externally, did a partnership with Swiggy and NRAI, the National Restaurant Association of India, and we run out a campaign where we said that you can order anything on Swiggy with any soft drink. So it could be Pepsi, it could be, a competitive product, it could be anything, but any soft drink that you would want to order. We will ensure that for every soft drink ordered, we will, provide a meal to a marginalized restaurant worker. And when we say meal, it was dry ration, so that, it's for the family, they can cook, they can, do all of that. So again, I'm very, very happy that, the whole campaign was run for 3 weeks, and we actually managed to ensure that the 2.5 million meals were distributed to marginalized restaurant workers. So we were able to, put food on the table for people who've actually served us food all their lives. So that was a campaign that I'm very proud of.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. And the campaign that you mentioned becoming not just a case study, but a business model. Kudos to the team and the woman behind it, along with other teammates, I'm sure. Great. Um, so while we are talking about various, approaches towards channelizing a campaign, like you've mentioned many a times during this conversation also, that this is in this era and this age, influencers also play a very major role.
Yeah.
How do you incorporate, and do you have a set of particular products to incorporate, or we can have influencers for anything or anything?
So influencer communication is something that's picked up momentum, like how, over the years, there's been an inversion of influencers. Again, influencer communications is a core today, an integral part of not just marketing, but communications as well. And the reason why it's happened is because, consumers can actually rely, as well as, trust these influencers. While they've been celebrities and we idolize them, and, we've also got a lot on board from that perspective, but, influencers are people, and I think people here can, maybe tell us more about it. But the fact is that people can relate because they can aspire them to be. They are on digital platforms. Again, something where, again, digital acceleration is happening. The other thing is that we feel that we relate to them. They are one of us. We aspire to be them. And there's engagement, therefore. So again, therefore, influencer communications become really big. To answer your question in terms of ensuring whether, it's for any product or service in particular, no. It's again, is all about content, the theme, what you want to say. It's all about a conversation. And therefore, you reach out to different influencers today for different stuff. So you have somebody in fashion, somebody have lifestyle, you will have food influencers, you will have, you also have influencers who are actually working in the sustainability space, for that matter. So again, they're just great people who people trust, and therefore, they're very important in today's day and age. Having said that, it's very, very important for us as a brand to understand and define our objective as to, why we would reach out to a certain influencers. We have to ensure that we have a campaign objective in place, and then we choose our, celebrity influencers or macro influencers or nano influencers, whoever. Again, the other thing is the influencers need to ensure that they serve similar values. There's synergies between a brand and what the influencer stands for. I mean, if there are no synergies, it's just not going to fly. It's going to look fake. The other bit is in terms of understanding the influencer's audience, right? I may want to reach out again. An example here, I want to reach out to people in Chennai, and I pick up I pick up Sonam Bajwa, right, as an influencer. Does it really work? No. I need to have her, or I need to engage with her if I want to reach out to people in Punjab more, because of the kind of audience that she has, the reach that she has, the engagement that she has in a particular geography. And lastly, it is very, very important to understand influencers' content quality and the matrix. So when we're reaching out to them, we need to understand the engagement, the click rate, their views rate, and the kind of quality that they bring out. So yeah, those are some of the key factors that enable us to choose influencers, and for what product, what campaign, and so on and so forth.
Okay, great. Shivalika, any piece of work that if you have, I'm sure you have to abide by the SOPs of your organization. But do you have anything that you would like to showcase to our students only under your jurisdiction? I mean, if you can.
I'll just 1 second. Just give me a second. Let me check.
In the meanwhile, we can also talk about any biggest challenge that you faced while there was a certain thought that you had in your mind and a brainchild which was getting challenged within the stakeholders of the company. Do you think you had any contradictions at any given time?
Not many times, I think. So I think, see, you are out there, you're trying to tell a story may work, may not work at times. And I think, again, there have been a lot of campaigns where they've been great ideas, but they've never seen the light of day. Reason being that, sometimes an idea may not land that well with the consumers as you think it would be, because when you're even thinking of ideas and the external factors, a lot of you, as in the personal you, kind of comes to the fore, right? What you believe in comes to the fore. I may believe in I may believe in talking about and talking against, in fact, domestic violence. Somebody may not, right? I may want to talk about how great having sodas is, or having great chips is. Somebody may not. So again, it depends. That's why I always say it's teamwork. So the fact is, there have been a lot of challenges in terms of ensuring that whether the idea would fly or not, and therefore we do consumer sentiment surveys before we launch an idea. There could be also ideas which are great ideas we want, we as communicators across want to do, but then budgets sometimes are restrained. And you may not want to fly with it. The other thing, I mean, this is all about challenges. There's so many things that you wanted to do, but you can't do because you can't go on ground, right? So again, it is not a bed of roses. There are challenges, but I think those are challenges which you actually give you a different perspective, and then you think, yeah, that's also a possibility, and that could also happen. So it just teaches you.
All right. We have Priya Saxena just raising her hand for a question. So we'll just ask her to unmute. Oh, Priya Sharma, I think that was accidental. So do you have something, Shivalika, or we can?
No, I think we can carry on.
All right. Okay. So, well, we are at the tail end of our conversation. So, before ending this conversation, any last words, the words of wisdom for our students, and how they should look at their corporate journey? Of course, in terms of taking it on, and also if you could throw some light in the kind of remuneration they should be looking at.
Okay, so I think words of wisdom, I'm not that wise, but still I'll try. The thing is that you need to be open to learning, like I mentioned, and learning from anybody and everybody. Believe you me, while I was working at, the agency at Avon Media, the maximum I've learned is actually from millennials. My team actually consisted of some 30 odd people, and most of them were the age of, they just fresh out of college, and they were 20, 24, 23. And I think they actually made me learn a lot in terms of how, the environment is outside. What are the, I wouldn't know a lot, many platforms, and I actually picked up from them, what are the new age platforms, etc. So again, I think learning, irrespective, be it from your senior or from your junior or from anywhere around, is very, very important. And that's where you build up your knowledge, and knowledge is key in communications industry. So ensure that you keep imbibing that. Secondly, be a filter. Don't be a sponge. That's what life is all about, in the sense that you may see so many things happening around. You don't have to observe everything. You don't have to take in everything. You filter out what's good for you, and you basically pick that up. And that filtration, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people around you who are going to help you with, but that filtration is very, very important. And I never tire of saying this, and I keep repeating myself, but patience is key, especially at this point in time. It is very important, because if your foundation is not great, you'll not make it. And I'm not, again, trying to scare you, but I'm being very honest. You may get appreciation, you may get applaud, but that's going to be short term. But if you really want to be an evolved professional, please be patient. You may be doing the same thing for 2 months, 3 months, but it is because you're getting better at it. And you can then literally do it in your sleep. So yeah, do that. And sorry, Shivani, on the remuneration part, I think it's way, way much better than what it used to be in our times. And I
Okay.
think and I think you start well, and you start with a couple of, thousands. And again, it was also about the choice that one needs to make, what brands that you get to work with, what company do you want to work with, vis-a-vis the remuneration. So I think remuneration is one part of it, and I'm not going to deny it's a very important aspect. But again, if I'm given enough money and then I'm said, okay, you know what, you go ahead and you work for a brand that you don't believe in, or you work for an industry that you're not passionate about, then money is not going to help me. So I think it's a balance that one needs to look at.
Okay, wonderful. So on that note, Shivalika, thank you so much on behalf of the entire Tutkara fraternity with all the stakeholders included. We had a lovely, lovely interaction. I think uh, a lot of learnings for me, a lot of takeaways for me, and I'm sure a lot of takeaways for the students as well. We loved that you quoted us with so many examples, so many real scenarios. And of course, because of the SOP adherence, we could not see them. Of course, there's a compliance involved. So that's totally understandable. But like I said, this association is only going to go stronger. And when the situation normalizes, we would love to host you in Kara University. If the students could just have their videos on and we could take a lovely screenshot, and that will really help us for a social media post. Like we said, it's very vital, it's very important. We like to spread the love. Yes, thank you guys. So there is, thank you, Ankita. Lovely to see lovely faces. Okay, while we're getting at it, Shivalika, wish you a great and a super awesome year coming ahead. This year has been great for you. You've awarded as one of the best communication strategists under 40, and we wish you many, many more accolades coming in the years. So thank you so much, and I'm wishing you all the very best from all of us here. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure and a privilege to be here, and great to see these happy faces. All the best. Like I said, we learn most from you guys. So keep going, and a very, very happy new year to you. All the best.